Hello again, everyone. This is another video here on Real Over Religion. Sitting out here looking at the sunset, very beautiful. Salute to everybody who has subscribed to the channel. Again, thank you for your support. Please like, share, and if you're a new watcher, I would love for you to subscribe as well. If you watch my previous video talking about the loving those that hate you, I briefly talked about the power of indifference, and I wanted to deal with that in this particular video. The power of indifference, detachment, it comes from the Buddhist teachings. One of the foundations of their teachings, I would say, is detachment. Detachment from relationships, possessions, because of the constant changing of life. You should never be attached to a certain outcome or the idea that things will always be forever. But this is what the world tries to market to us, right? You know, they want you to have the families and strive to get a house and have children and put them through college, and, you know, they want you to participate in this system because in the end, it's all about making money for the people that are at the top, the people that run the show. If there are no human beings playing this game of reproduction and bringing life into the world and putting kids into the workforce, these people can't continue to stay wealthy because the population would decline and there would be no people for them to enslave. But in my opinion, I have found peace, serenity, and becoming detached, borrowing from the Buddhist teachings of detachment, detaching myself from the idea of forever. I mean, we know that in this life there is no forever. Everything is temporary. So why do we plan our lives as though everything that we strive for, desire for, is going to be here forever? That's where we must use our logic, and we must think ourselves through these situations. There is power in being indifferent. I want to read to you the actual definition of being indifferent. It says it refers to the state of being unconcerned, apathetic, or lacking interest or enthusiasm towards something or someone. That means that I sit in a place of neutrality. I see things, I observe things, but you can't put me into a particular group. Even though I am an atheist, I don't agree with all atheists. You can't even put me in that group. The only thing I always say, the only thing I have in common with other atheists is that I don't believe in God just like them. But it doesn't make me a liberal, doesn't make me a Republican, doesn't make me any of these groups you want to put me in. I am an individual. I'm a black man based on, you know, race, even though that is a social construct as well. But I don't agree with everybody that looks like me. I am an individual. I think for myself, and that's how you should live your life. You know, if you think every black person thinks the same, that's like saying all Chinese people know martial arts, you know, all Italian people eat pizza, all Mexican people eat tacos. Like, everybody is an individual. There are things that are culturally true, Stereotypes do exist for a reason, but at the end of the day, we are still individuals, and you should identify with who you are, not what culture dictates, not what your race dictates. That is the power of being indifferent. I don't subscribe to anyone but myself and what works for me, what makes me happy, what makes me at peace. I'm not trying to please anyone, and neither should you. When you come out of religion, because religion is also a group activity where they want you to do where the book does the thinking for you, you have to try to find who you are once you leave that. That book has done the thinking for you. It did the thinking for me for 20 years until I just could not allow it to control my life anymore, because it didn't match with reality. It doesn't work in the real world. That's why you see so many Christian hypocrites that are adopting modern interpretations of the Bible now, because they understand that ancient book is outdated. They're not going to come out and say that, but they know that's what it is. The power of indifference, ladies and gentlemen, is truly liberating. If that's one thing I want to get across in this video, being indifferent to life in general. I'm not excited about life, but I'm not depressed about life either. Life is what it is. There are things that you can enjoy, but you take it in such a balanced way that it doesn't. I wish I could describe the feeling to you. You have to get there in order to get it. But when you're so balanced in your approach to life, nothing excites you, and it doesn't necessarily disappoint you either, because you have no expectation out of life. When you understand that life has no meaning that there is no God in control of life, that this is all random chaos. This is what I call it, for lack of better terms. And the reason I call it random chaos is because, just look around you. There's starvation, there's death, there's tragedy, there's all this crazy stuff going on in the world. And it's up to humanity whether we can contain most of this stuff or not. But of course, we are selfish human animals. So the killing, the robbing, the wars, and all that stuff is going to continue. There's never going to be a utopia here. So I have no high expectation on life. I have aspiration, goals, and dreams that I'm pursuing, because I have to do something with my time, right? But I'm not attached to those outcomes. I can die tomorrow. I'm okay with that. You see, there's no disappointment, because again, as I say, life is suffering, death is mercy. So if I don't achieve the outcome that I'm seeking, it's okay. I'm dead. I'm no longer here. I'm no longer conscious, as far as we know. So what's the disappointment? The disappointment comes in when you attach yourself to a situation or someone thinking that is going to be forever. If you attach yourself to a job thinking that that's going to be forever, and you lose that job, then yes, you're going to be disappointed. You must always plan for things to change. The reason I work is so that I'm always putting money aside for the changing of life. The fact that I may physically not even be able to take care of myself someday. That's what you should be working for. Anything can happen. Your house can burn down. And this is where the tragedy comes in at. When we attach ourselves to our spouses, to our children, you cannot protect them from the unpredictable, the unseen chaos that is this life. I come across people who you know, who talk about their teenage years and the things that they did behind their parents' back that their parents probably will never know. The thing is that you can't control autonomous human beings. When I was a teenager, I did some stupid things that I shouldn't have did. Nothing too crazy, but I was rebelling, and I did some things that if I would have got caught, oh boy, that would have been a mess. But the bottom line is, you can't control your kids. Threatening them, with fear and abuse, which is what the Bible advocates for, it works for a while until it doesn't work anymore. And then it may backfire on you, because once your kids are old enough, they're probably not going to look out for you the way you thought they would. But then some kids do, because they've been brainwashed, and then they raise their kids the same way, so on and so forth. But getting back on track here, being attached to all these things that will continue to change on you is very dangerous. It's bad for you in the long term. When you lose someone that you love, that you thought forever was going to be, that changes and turns your world upside down. And if you believe in a loving, merciful God, that's going to make you even more depressed, because now you're trying to figure out, why did he allow this to happen? And if you believed in the Bible like I did, and you read the book of Job, where it shows that God is actually having a conversation with the devil, even though in the Hebrew Bible that's not the devil. Okay, Christians interpreted Satan into that role. The Jews don't believe in Satan, but that's a whole nother conversation. But for the sake of the Christian view, we're going to use Satan here. But God is having a conversation with Satan, and they're gambling basically on whether Job is going to curse him or not. It's a bet on the table. And he's taken away his wealth, his health, and his children lost their lives. And Satan had to do this by getting God's permission first. So imagine you going through tragedy in your life, and if you believe that story, then you believe that God had a conversation with Satan, and he signed off on that to happen to you. This was the agony that I went through throughout my Christian years of struggling financially, going through a bunch of stuff, got a bunch of prayers that I've been putting up through into heaven that are not coming down, and all of these different unfortunate things happening to me. And I'm believing the idea that God is signing off on all of these things. The mental anguish and the struggle that puts you under is insane. So the most powerful position to be in life is to be indifferent. So salute to Buddhism in this regard. This teaching of detachment, I think, is the most beautiful thing, and it actually caught my attention as a teenager when I was struggling with Christianity. This idea of detachment made more sense to me than Christianity did, even at 17, 18 years old. But I couldn't fully go through with that because of the conditions I was living under at that time. But the power of indifference, ladies and gentlemen, is amazing. Because life and nature is what it is. It's going to be what it is. So there's nothing that you and I can do about the unchangeable and the uncontrollable, but you can control how you choose to deal with it. Now you say, Johnny Lee, well, does that mean I just live in a bubble, or do I just detach myself from family, friends, relationships? Absolutely not. You can enjoy them and still possess the ability to be detached. I have siblings. I have a mother that is still living. I love them. I enjoy my time with them, but I'm not attached in the sense that I know that I'm going to lose them someday. They're going to lose me. We're going to lose each other. Enjoy them while you can. There's no sense in going into a corner and crying about it. Life is suffering. So I'm detached. I prepared myself for losses. Doesn't mean you don't cry, doesn't mean you don't miss them. But you've accepted the reality. And therefore, that is why I would never get in a relationship, talking about me personally, I would never get in a romantic relationship with a woman where she becomes my everything. For me, the type of relationship that works for me is more transactional. And I don't mean anything illegal. But what I mean is we enjoy each other's company, but we're not attached. We can hang out, and we're not even talking about purely physical here. We're talking about enjoying each other's company, conversation, whatever it is. I can do those things, but I'm going back to my life when it's all over with. I don't want to be romantically involved, because then that's where the attachment comes in at. Once you become attached to a person, you're putting yourself in the way of suffering. And I believe in the Epicurean viewpoint, the philosophy of mitigating and lessening suffering in this life. Now, if you're willing to take that risk and you're willing to be attached with someone and you want to fall in love and do all that stuff, that's your prerogative. You can do that, but I would like to spare you suffering. Because if you lose that person, that woman, that man, whoever, you're going to agonize. They can never be replaced. You ladies that die so hard to become mothers, you put your life at risk to bring a child into the world. You attach yourself to that child. And then when tragedy strikes and takes that child away from you, you don't know what to do anymore, because you've attached yourself to having something to love, and you have that need to be loved in return. Most women have kids because they want the kid to love them back, which is a whole nother subject. But these are all biological things. They're natural desires. But I think just because it's biological doesn't make it a good idea. That's where we have to use our logic to rise above our biology in certain things. And reproduction is one of those things that we don't need, because it just continues the life cycle of suffering. So, I will conclude by saying, if you want to stay virtually suffering free, of course suffering is going to happen in some capacity. But mental suffering, most suffering comes mental. It's in the brain. Because of the way we perceive the world and the way we look at it, and religion molds and shapes us in very negative ways. When you say that there's someone in control of this, and clearly the reality shows differently, it's a mess. So, I would just advocate to my listeners out there, stay indifferent. Use the power of indifference. And it takes work, and I promise you, when you get to that middle ground, oh, it's beautiful. I mean, I can honestly and sincerely tell you, I'm at peace with the world. I'm at peace with the world. And I'm not even, I'm not where I want to be in life in terms of my goals and all that stuff. But I'm not attached to the outcome. I have something that I'm striving for. We all have something we're striving for. My life is not perfect. No one's life is perfect. There's a lot of things going on in my personal life. But I'm undisturbed at the same time. Doesn't mean you don't get frustrated and agitated or whatever, but you come back to center. You know what? I'm not attached to this outcome. I am indifferent to it all, and when I'm dead, it's over with. I don't have to deal with it anymore. So these are just my thoughts I put on the table. Take from it what you can, what you will, and use it. I believe that being indifferent is the best way to navigate this world. But I'll leave that up to you. Thank you guys again for watching. And remember, like I always say, if they have to speak for God, they've already lost a debate. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.